So I describe the level of authenticity as the gap between who you are when no one's watching to how you show up. The bigger the gap, the less authentic you are. If you can't predict what the company is going to do, I'm going to say they have no brand. And the other test that I have is if someone associates their name, their likeness to something, does the value of that thing go up? If it's neutral or negative, you have no brand. There's a simple rule. If you weren't you, would you share your own content? Everybody looks at content in terms of, does this help me? Does this lift up my day? Does this inspire me? Does this give me a technique, process, or does it reframe my world in a positive way such that I'm better for it? And the degree in which you can do that, the more likely they are to share it with someone else. And of course, it overperforms everything else that we've done. So that was the first aha moment. Respect your audience, don't sell them something, and do the work and give value to others. The difference was night and day in terms of viewership. And it's like, oh, that's a clue. We're on to something. Each one of us, I think, has at least one gift, something that we do better than most with very little effort. Unfortunately, for most of us, when that gift presented itself, it didn't look like a gift because it didn't fit within the construct of what normal people say that's valuable. Revisit that thing. If you always love to make music or to build things or to destroy things, lean into that. Let's change the context. You're stranded on the side of the road. In Arizona, it's 105 degrees and you're gonna die soon. I cruise up, I'm like, yo, $3,000 bottle of water. Context matters.
Right.
Convenience matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 114 of the 505 podcast. We got Chris Do on the show, the master of personal brand, dude. This
Smart
one was
man,
jam-packed with information. I mean, he really gave you the blueprint for developing your personal brand and getting into this space of content creation.
I really felt like this conversation is just, it is jam-packed. It's a gold mine, dude. We found just rivets of gold everywhere. Every time he spoke, I was panning, like, bang, dude.
Just panning for gold.
We, Brayden and I did a little role-playing thing where we were clients and he was, as a big designer, telling us how he would price it out, and we were just overpaying over and over again, dude. Everything he said was so smart, and we were like, we gotta raise our fucking thing for him. We gotta raise our budget. He was so good at it. It actually blew my mind, and I've been trying to use it ever since we talked to him.
What I loved about the role play that you guys did was how slow he took the conversation and the level of questions that he asked. He was telling us that, like, the better you are at asking questions, the more successful you are going to be as an artist, and I thought that was great.
I also think that when you're thinking about pricing your work, he breaks down such important topics that I don't want to wait. I don't want to let them wait any longer, dude. I think we need to get into this. Chris Do, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a recovering designer, public speaker. You name it, the man does it all. Let's get into this episode. Chris Do, give me the one-handed crack. I have high hopes for you.
Oh, shoot. I know there's lots of rules here.
Nice, nice. Crushed it.
Insane.
It's tricky. Oh, you got it.
I'm going to break a fingernail on this.
Don't break a fingernail.
We might have to pause for commercial break.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got it.
Oh. Honestly, in terms of it's pretty smooth once it got there.
Once it got there. And I think the perseverance has to have something there. 5-2 for Chris Do.
That's a solid score.
You didn't dent it and you had it in the air. That's what's important.
I just want to say my middle finger is no longer operable, but it's cool. All for the show.
Wow. See, but I feel like that was a cheap can, I feel like there's no way that was the same.
Ghost is going to do it exactly how you did it. Oh my Lord. Oh gosh.
Tip. I don't even know if I really got it.
What is the point of this?
This is a game that I do on my Instagram story. I started doing it in college, and then one day one random person goes, "Hey, I want to send in a submission." And I was like, "A submission for what?" And he's like, "The one-handed crack." And this random person named it. I don't know who did it.
Yeah.
And so he sends me a submission, and I rate them every day. They're really bad. No one's really good at it. We've had one decent score on the pod. Long time. Gary V's old filmmaker, Tyler Babin, got a 9-1.
He was solid.
9-2.
I can do it, but I dent. I'm all power, no finesse. So I get it open, but the whole can usually gets crumpled. Brayden really has got it down.
The only important thing is, are you sponsored by Leisure Hydration?
They stopped sponsoring us.
Oh my God.
But it's not our fault.
But it's not, it's not our fault.
What happened with that
We
again?
ended the partnership. No bread, dude.
Just, they didn't have them.
Yeah. They didn't have the bread to keep going.
But it is genuinely a very good drink.
Yeah.
So start getting us money. That's an honest opinion.
We're on
right there.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Chris, welcome to the show.
Yes. Thanks.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
I'm outnumbered on this one.
I got to see you speak at Adobe Max this past year, which is really cool. We've been following you for a while. So to have you on the pod is like really, really cool. The talk you gave was all about personal brand.
Yep.
So for the audience, how would you describe personal brand in like one sentence?
A personal brand is just like a corporate brand. So we start there with that definition. It's the person's gut feeling about who you are. It's their impression and the associations that people have of you.
You talked a lot about too in the talk at Adobe Max about authenticity in your content. I think you're very authentic in the things that you put out, and you go back in your catalog a really long time on the Future and it's still the same person. Now talk to us about being authentic in your content. Like some people choose to not go that route. Why do you choose to be authentic in the content and preach that to people that create content on the internet?
Authenticity should be the easiest thing in the world to do. It's just being yourself when no one's watching. But I think because we live in such a manicured, curated society, especially on social media, you can see people are turning on all their filters. They're pointing the camera towards the one spot in their home or their life that is not terrible and a total train wreck. It's because they don't have a strong sense of self and they rely too much on extrinsic motivation, the opinions of other people, to define who they are and how they feel about themselves. If you were to be able to put a sticker over somebody's head and say, this is judging your sense of self-worth from 0 to 100, and if they look on social and they have lots of likes, it would probably just go up. Conversely, if it's bombing, their emotional score would probably go down, their sense of self. But it shouldn't be that way because it should be an intrinsic thing, something that's motivated from within. And we've been socialized and culture to care about the opinions of people that we give authority to. So you think about when you're growing up in grade school, in junior high, high school, there's this whole order of how things are supposed to work. The kids who acted differently, acted out, were usually the ones who were pushed into a corner, sent to the principal's office, said is a troublemaker, has troubles concentrating, and they're ostracized by their society, by their community. And so we learn really early on we have to go along to get along, and that's really important for us as social safety, and that's very important. We never grow out of it. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. And we just kind of stay on that one
kind
path.
of like a chameleon a little bit. But obviously you can't be a chameleon. And people like see it and think this is interesting or new, you know, if you're just kind of fitting in.
Yeah.
I feel like I fall into that sometimes.
I feel like we all do it. It is.
Yeah.
It is hard. Can someone be 100% authentic online, or do you feel like there is maybe some barrier?
Good question. I believe you can get pretty close to being 100% authentic. So if we say, here's who you are when no one's watching. Now, you all live together?
We live together. We used to all live together.
Okay, you live here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of see each other 100% authentic. There may be times when you come out in your underwear and it's dirty and you haven't brushed your teeth and he's like, hey, 8 feet away, bro. But that's just you. You're not trying to impress him because at some point when you live together and you spend a lot of time together, you don't care if you have to burp, fart, scratch your nose, pick it, whatever. You're totally cool. But outside, we have social norms. And I think some social norms are good because if everybody didn't bathe, didn't brush their teeth, walked around in underwear, it would just be a pretty nasty, rank society. So you have to adjust to fit in just a little bit. So I describe the level of authenticity as the gap between who you are when no one's watching to how you show up. The bigger the gap, the less authentic you are. So we can adjust. For example, if you were invited to the White House, doesn't matter what president of the White House, there was a special dinner, you dress up, you comb your hair, you'd brush your teeth and you'd wash your face and you'd look presentable because you want to make your parents proud. Like, hey, we raise kids all right. We have good values. And plus there's a decorum that you need to adhere to. Is that you? Probably not. You're not wearing a suit all the time, bow tie, but that is just social norms. And I think that is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about your partner just left you. Your company's in financial ruin and you show up, what's up guys? I just scored a giant 6-figure deal. I'm a 7-8-figure coach. And I'm like, what? That is not authentic.
Completely. I totally agree with you. And I think that it's something that creators are always trying to adhere to. You know, they're trying to be their authentic self, and you can feel it now, I feel like, more than ever. I think back in the day, maybe the 2012, 2013, 14, those early days of YouTube being popular, I think that people were getting away with that, with playing a character, but now more than ever, people are seeing through that and they're like, yo, dude, this is not this person. This is not who they really are.
Or on Instagram, like the aspirational lifestyle, like when Instagram was at like the heyday back in like 2016, 2017, like the travel influencer. I wanted to ask you about that. Like, do you feel as though just because somebody has like a lot of followers, like that aspirational lifestyle travel influencer, that maybe doesn't necessarily mean they have a strong personal brand? It just means they have a lot of followers because someone's aspiring to be like that?
Yeah, having a lot of followers has no connection to having a strong personal brand. It's often associated because there's a lot of people who follow you. But here's the way that we look at companies, and then when we understand companies, then we can understand personal brands. There are some differences, but there's lots of overlap. If you can't predict what the company is going to do, I'm going to say they have no brand. And the classic test, I think it's either Seth Godin or somebody else who had said this, who said, if you transpose two brands, could you accept that this company can survive? And the example is, if Nike were to create a hotel, could you predict that?
Yeah.
If Hilton created a shoe, could you predict that? I'm like, Hilton shoes, I'm not buying. Hilton hotels, I can't even tell what they do.
Right.
Besides being semi-affordable and kind of like almost together, but not totally, that's their brand. And it's the associations that I have. So when it comes to personal brand, it's like there are people who are very good at getting, like somebody who dances a lot. Let's say they can get a gazillion followers, but you know nothing about them. You can't predict anything except for somewhere in this clip, they're going to start dancing out of nowhere. That's kind of it. So it goes way beyond that. So when we talk about human interactions, you all can know if you ask each other to pick one another up at the airport, is that person going to pick you up or not? If they say they're going to do something, are they going to do it or not? So that kind of level of trust and predictability, it's like, okay, are they going to like coffee, tea, or milk? We kind of can predict certain things. And the other test that I have is if someone associates their name, their likeness to something, does the value of that thing go up? If it's neutral or negative, you have no brand. So I argue whatever shirt that you all are wearing, it's more valuable because of what's been printed on it. Because if you were to blast all that information off, it would sell as a commodity for the lowest price. And you can buy a pack of t-shirts at Costco probably for like $10. And people do that because they don't care about brand or communicating to other people their associations, their affiliations, their values, what their preferences are. But the minute Nike, Adidas, Y3, somebody puts their logo or their mark on it, it transforms that thing because we as humans love stories. We want to tell stories. We consume stories. Stories is how we understand the world. And all of a sudden that little mark tells us a story.
And we love being a part of something.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Because being ostracized socially is one of the worst things that can happen to you.
100%.
And I feel like we like aspirationally buy brands. Like I wanted to buy like Aim Leon Dore because like I want to seem like a guy that knows a lot about basketball and like it has like cool street style, which like I don't really, but I want to be seen as such, you know, and I want to feel like I do. Really, is the main thing, right? So I would want to like buy a sweatshirt for $300 or whatever, because then you get to feel it some way.
And you're gonna get a large next time.
Yeah, I bought it way too small.
You know, but I'll say this. A buddy of mine has a fake Louis Vuitton wallet.
Okay.
And he was at the bar and he's like, credit card pays. And then all of a sudden, the person next to him, a woman, was like, oh, hey, how's it going? And he's like, this stuff works. It does work. It says I'm at a certain place that I can afford a knockoff Louis Vuitton wallet. And they can't tell the difference. Not in a glance like that.
I learned, speaking about fake designer, that Nigo, the guy who created Bape, he was running the factories that were creating the fake Bape.
No.
And so he made like hundreds of millions because he was behind the operation.
So he just had like a discount version of his own thing that was like
He was like making the fakes.
Oh, and then distributed
that's
the
so
fakes.
funny, dude.
Dude, talk about doubling down.
Well, and just like if they're gonna do this to me, I might as well do it first.
Might as well profit off it too.
It's kind of like the 8 Mile Eminem thing. It's like I'll slam myself.
Yeah.
Was your personal brand something that was conscious and you sat down with maybe a team that you're working with at Blind and were like, okay, I need to actually be posting content on the internet? Because I believe I read somewhere that you waited until you were like in your 40s, lower 40s to start creating content. Now, with your team, what did it look like? Did you kind of put up pillars and you're like, I want to talk about design. I want to help freelancers turn into full-time people. I want to, retire designers and create them into companies. What did those original conversations look like?
You know enough just to ask the right, wrong, like dangerous questions. So I love where we're going with this. So there's two companies. There's, at that time, Blind and a new company called The School, which I was a 50% partner in, started by my friend Jose Caballé. And Blind was like, we're trying to do social media like everybody else the wrong way, which is, here's a cool project. Congratulations to our client. It's all fake. It's all PR, marketing, calls to action, soft sales. And naturally, no one cares about that kind of stuff. There's like 10 industry friends who look at them like, yeah, good job, man. That was dope what you did with that car that you were moving around. But the regular people don't care because you haven't given them a reason to care. You're talking inside baseball there. So when Jose comes to me, he's like, hey, let's go make content on YouTube. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's stupid, dude. No one that's professional makes YouTube content. It's all these wannabes, people who have never made anything with their life, and this is their outlet. Cool. And he's like, no, you need to do this with me. We're going to do this education company. This is how we're going to do it. He had experience in creating products. He had experience in hosting and creating programming. I had none of that. So initially, I'm putting on my producer director hat, which I'm used to doing, and saying, how do we need to show up on camera? Because I consume a lot of TV. I know how this stuff is done. I write treatments for a living at that time to get commercial work. I said, okay, we need to figure out our personas. And so it was crafted and engineered very much so. And if you watch the old episodes, you'll see, oh, he is showing up as somebody. Jose and I, we could not be more different. I'm an INTJ. He's an ENFP. Mm-hmm. So he's literally the opposite of the Myers-Briggs. I'm introverted. He's super extroverted. He's loud. He's obnoxious. He's Puerto Rican. I'm Vietnamese. We're both immigrants. That's about similarity there. Okay. And I noticed something about him. He's bearded. He's like kind of like hippie-esque. He's coming back from Burning Man, so he's got these burner vibes, you know. He's got the whole, he falls right into a little box and like beads and everything. I'm like, hey man, you know the old TV show, The Odd Couple? Mm-hmm. They're the complete opposites. Like one is a neat freak, the other guy literally eats a sandwich out of the trash can because that's just the way they work. But I know in TV, chemistry is all really important. We don't want two of the same people. You're this guy. Lean more into that personality. Like the hippie, everything goes, let's drop some acid. Even if that's not what you're saying, you got that vibe. I'm a business guy. This is what I do. And I need an excuse to wear suits. I like my suits and I don't have enough opportunities to wear them. So I'll show up as this suit. Let's get stuff done. And you can show up as the carefree guy and we would just do that. And we played those characters. They are authentically us, just hyper versions of us. And it was a thought. But that's as far as the thought went. It wasn't like brand pillars and all that kind of stuff.
Did you take the design firm of Blind and say, hey, like we want to go this educational route? And if so, when was that period of time? Because I think many people know you as an educator and not the beginning phase of you creating treatments for all these brands and running a huge design firm that's trying to bid on these $1 million projects.
Yeah. The Blind side was really confused as to what I was doing because they wanted me involved in running the company, writing pitches or doing bids and all that kind of stuff, just trying to win the new business. But my team is very competent. They're great at coming up with ideas and closing business. So I would be pulled in from time to time only as needed. I would describe to people my personality, my role in the company was kind of like the wolf from Pulp Fiction. Like after you accidentally shoot the brains out of the guy in the back seat and you're in trouble and Bonnie's coming home, you got to call the wolf. And the wolf's like, I'm in Cohango or whatever. I'm 25 minutes away. I'll be there in 10, you know? That's the person you call. And it's like, I don't mean to be curt. We got to get stuff done. You want me to be here or not? So I was the guy that the executive producer would say, I feel like job's slipping away from us. This $600,000 job, it might go bye-bye. It's time to call in Chris. And that's when I would step in and we would do the call. And I'm like, okay, we got it back on the right path. You guys keep going. I'm out. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, I was in the stage talking to Jose about like, what do we do for our next piece of content? Like when you want to record, how do we do this? And setting that whole booth and studio up so that we can film and produce content. Mm-hmm. So eventually, when I say eventually, like 2.5 years later, we're starting to make traction. This is when the plot starts to thicken where the guys, the team could see like, oh, there's something here. Maybe we should get involved and we want to help because it looks like a lot of fun over there. And doing client work is fine, but it's not freeing. It's not like this thing of self-expression.
Were those videos living on what is now the Futur YouTube, or was it a different channel?
So it was called The School. Jose and I split up. We go our separate ways. We're still friends, thankfully. I renamed the channel The Futur. And it's one of those deals that I had with Jose because I always tell young people this, or anybody who's going into business, if you have a partner, work on the prenup before you go into business together. What does this look like if we were to separate so you don't have any fights later on? And thankfully we did that because when things got tense between the two of us, I had something to lean back on. Like, you remember this? We said we're going to do it like this. Are you cool? He's like, okay. And to his word, he's like, I'm cool. Even though that's not what he wanted, he did agree to it. So my whole thing was, you keep the product, I keep the audience. And the audience was on YouTube. He's like, do you want to use the name? I said, it's probably better for me to start fresh so that people don't have the same association. For the first year, people were really unhappy with me. Why did you break us up? Like what it's like mom and dad had a fight and now we, the children, have to be the survivors of a divorce parenting. It was like that. They're like, where is he bringing them back? You know, it's like, it's a new channel, bro. I'm running things now and it's different. So that's kind of how that happened. So 2.5 years in, it became the Futur.
Did you just keep persevering right when the like turmoil was happening and you split with Jose and the people like, yo, what the hell, Chris? We want Jose back. Maybe a few people like this thing that he did.
A lot of people liked him.
Yeah.
And they liked us. They were like, you are better together. And for parts of it, we were better together. But we had such different working styles and visions for the future. And I'm like, dude, I think you need to run your company your way. And I start to, again, be reminded that I'm not a good team player. I don't make a great collaborator. I want to do things my way. I want to move fast. I want to break things. And some people are just not comfortable with that. And so we had to, for our own sanity in our relationship, go separate ways. But they were just picking at me. And I'm like, if you guys love Jose so much, I'm sure he has another channel.
Right.
Go follow that. I'm going to do my thing. And eventually it quiets down, but it takes like a year for it to eventually go away. And then every once in a while, somebody's like, hey, where's Jose? I miss Jose. I'm like, I miss him too, bro. I don't know where he's at. I don't know
Text him for me.
Right.
Yeah, he's doing stuff, but it's not with me right now. But now it's like, Jose who? And the weird thing is, if you go back in old videos where there's a new audience that's formed around the current Futur, they go back and watch those videos like, oh, can this guy just shut up? It's just like, let Chris talk. Like, who is this guy? He thinks he's funny. And they're just ruthless. But that's just the internet, right?
Yeah.
They're ruthless to me too, but they're especially unkind to him.
Wow. I remember seeing something a long time ago that you posted because I think a lot of people, creative, specifically photo, video design, it's a lot of me. And like the reason why we made this show was to expedite the careers of people either in design, photo, film, video, just in our space. And I want to know what your thoughts are on creating content that is value driven. And if that was a conscious choice of like, hey, we're posting our design, and like you talked about it earlier, like Blind's posting design, people are like, oh, fucking cool, Chris, like whatever. But when did that kind of shift happen? Because we even noticed it with our stuff. When you begin to provide value for people, they spread your message for you. It's a beautiful thing. And like they'll share the stuff on Reels, and instead of it getting 10 views, it gets 10,000 views because you have 100 people that are sharing it. And I'm just curious on, when that was for you.
Yeah. There's a simple rule. If you weren't you, would you share your own content? And that's a pretty good rule to follow. If you weren't you, would you share this thing with someone else? And most of the times, no, because everybody looks at content in terms of, does this help me? Does this lift up my day? Does this inspire me? Does this give me a technique, process, or does it reframe my world in a positive way such that I'm better for it? And the degree in which you can do that, the more likely they are to share it with someone else. So here's the big breakthrough. We're about almost 6 or 8 months into making content. I'm still super awkward and weird on camera, and I'm having a conversation with my wife. Maybe it's a few months, I'm not sure, but I know I've made enough content at this point. And she's kind of like bemused at what I'm doing, like, oh, what is this weird thing you guys are trying? I say, hey, did you watch our latest video? And she pauses and deep breath. I'm like, I'm not gonna like whatever she's gonna say next. I already know it's not gonna be good. And she goes, it's kind of unwatchable, babe. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, you guys ramble on, you interrupt each other. There's no point. And I'm just done. And, I could probably hear that from just about anybody, but for my wife, it just hurts a little bit more because I just don't want her to be right. I'm man enough to just say, babe, I got this. I got it. I'm going to figure this stuff out. So I go and crawl in my own corner. I'm like, God dang it, she's right. It's unwatchable. And I can't, literally, I can't watch it because I'm so self-conscious, but I know what she's saying is true because I was there. I was there in the taping. I was at least one half of the problem. So I go to Jose and it's like, you know what? We're pitching a lot of things and we're all over the place. We're disorganized. Let's try something new. Let's try this new rule. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to prepare for tomorrow. We're going to talk about X. You do your work and I'll do my work. Okay? I'll get a keynote like the old school days. I'm going to go get ready for this thing. And the rule is no more pitching. We're not going to talk about our product, the one product that we had. And he goes, okay, I work till 3 or 4 in the morning. I got this deck. It's all about brand identity and design. And it's not showcasing the work except for to make a point. And the work is just an example of the lesson I want to teach you. Fantastic. We show up, we do it, we record, video goes out. And of course, it overperforms everything else that we've done. So that was the first aha moment. Respect your audience. Don't sell them something. And do the work and give value to others. And the difference was night and day in terms of viewership. And it's like, oh, that's a clue. We're on to something. So he thought, I think this was like a one-time experiment. But my thing is like, if something works, do more of what works. Don't quit that. So I would show up again and again. And I could see now I want to work hard at this and make it serious. And he was concerned, rightfully so. How do we make money on any of this stuff? Because you're talking about things we have no product for. So this is the beginning of me just making content because I think it serves people, not because it's trying to move one of our things. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And that flip was what kind of changed everything.
Yeah. So I say from 6 months to a year into making content, that one experiment started to change things. And I say to everybody, you need in your life at least one truth sayer who's going to look you right in the face and say, you suck, that don't work, it stinks, kindly.
It's our girlfriends.
Yeah,
it's our girlfriends, man. Oh, they'll tell us.
It could be a parent. It could be your best friend. But somebody who is like can look in your eye and say, I love you. I don't want to hurt you. I want to see you do well, but you suck.
It's not how my girlfriend says it, but she gets the point across, which is all that matters.
I think all girlfriends lost that book. How to do it. They just skip to you suck.
Yeah. But it's still, I need to learn that lesson.
Yeah, you have to unpack it in your mind. No, babe, you're right. You love me. You support me. You want to see me succeed. And it does suck.
Yeah.
My girlfriend hit me with that about me wearing black socks. I learned this, that apparently black socks are not it. And I used to love to wear black socks. And she hit me with the, it ain't it, white socks are it.
Chris is rocking black socks.
Dude, I'm
Your girlfriend's wrong, by the way.
Yeah, I'm also wearing black.
Been trying to,
Dude, not to derail. I like a black sock. Not to derail. My girlfriend, dude, this was unreal. So I have developed like a little bit of a role, right?
Okay.
And instead of
mid-roll,
this was nice of her. Instead of just saying like, hey, you gotta start working out more and like eating less potato chips. Mm-hmm. She gives my role a name, and she knows I love tennis. She calls it Billie Jean King, which is my role. And she's like, I love Billie Jean King. And it makes me feel so self-conscious because now
reverse psychology. Oh my God.
My favorite female tennis player is just living on a role in my body. And every time I go to the gym, I'm like, I got to do crunches even though I don't want to.
Dude.
Just got to get rid of Billie Jean King.
You get rid of it and be like, babe, I don't know where Billy's at. Haven't seen him in a while.
It's gone.
Just gone. But anyways, you're right though. You need someone to tell you straight.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking about, telling a better story and all that kind of stuff, you have what's called the 3Fs approach, which is facts, feelings, and fun, which is a way to tell a better story. We've talked about how in every piece of content, you should aim to like educate, inspire, or entertain. And I feel like it's kind of similar. Can you touch on that 3Fs approach and how it can lead to telling a better story?
Yeah, to educate, to inspire, or what's the third one? Entertain. Those are the outcomes or the goals of what you're trying to do. It's not actually the tactics on how to get there. You're like, can you make your thing more entertaining? You're like, yeah, thanks, Sherlock. I would be more entertaining if I could be. So we look at those as broad categories of outcomes that we want. Brayden Kane, who I interviewed, who wrote the book 1 Million Followers, which he's been able to repeat multiple times to get 1 million followers on different accounts in 30 days, which is ridiculous.
Crazy.
Wow. Some gray hat strategies in there, but he's a super smart analytical person. And he was saying, the vast majority of the population responds to almost 30% facts, fun, or feeling based. So when you only go in with facts, you're losing potentially 70% of the population. There are many other categories, but the other ones add up to only be about 10%. So let's focus on the big three. So he calls them the 3Fs, facts, fun, and feeling. So the way that we do this is if you watch a real estate video, it's the classic example of a real estate video. They used to shoot real estate videos with no one talking. They would show you the specs, how many square feet, what's the lot size, how much parking, price per square foot, those kinds of things. And that's all fact-based. The visuals are just a way to get us through the fact because otherwise we couldn't even watch it, right? And then you start to notice something else where there's now a host and the host walks in, explains to you and visually kind of talks you through this thing. And so now it's starting to touch on another thing. But the way that you do this is you incorporate a sense of fun and you ask them to imagine something. So the real estate person who does this really well walks into a $10 million property and says, imagine you sitting here with your family or with your friends and hosting a fundraising event for a charity that you love. And this is the butler's pantry, so your staff is coming out and they're doing this. And look at this. So they're trying to immerse you in the emotional component of it. This is stirring at your feelings. Now, I noticed there's this woman, I'm forgetting her name, tall blonde lady. She does real estate videos and she's relatively young. I noticed in every one of her videos, she does something wacky. And I don't even understand it, but that would be the fun part. So she's in high heels and, a pretty tight bodysuit thing, and she's trying to throw like a basketball into the hoop. I'm like, what's this got to do with a video? It has nothing. Or she'll go into this $25 million property and try to lift a 50-pound dumbbell and do like a tricep kickback. And she's like, oh, and she does it. And she's like, I did it. That is the fun component. So there's something wacky. So what Brayden did was he explained the Dollar Shave Club, and he broke it down. He's like, this incorporates everything. This whole company should not even exist because they make a commodity in razor blades, and they're nothing special, but what makes it special is the story in which they tell. So you have this guy, he walks in and he drops an F-bomb. He talks about like his product in a very serious way. So he's just telling you, and there's a dwarf in it, there's a Mexican lady in it. And then at the end of the thing, I think confetti gets shot and some banner rolls down in a warehouse, which is like this carnival-like atmosphere. And so he's giving you the right combination of fact, fun, and feeling. So fun doesn't mean you have to do something crazy, exuberant, out of ordinary, but the backdrop might be weird. Just like is it the poopery one or the squatty potty? There's a unicorn that shoots out rainbows as its poo. And it's like, that is really wacky. Or the two guys from Dr. Squatch. There's like homoeroticism in that, you know, and there's like breaks a dish on the rock. Like, you're not a dish, you're a man. I'm like, I know, but what do you mean? That's how they get you.
Kind of also a pattern disrupt. It's like you're used to seeing the same deodorant of like Dove, and they're like, you need to buy Dove. And it's like, dude, we don't want to buy Dove right now. Although I do use Dove. I like the spray. Really? The spray's fire.
When's that coming?
Are you a spray or a stick kind of guy?
I don't use deodorant.
Oh,
nice. Power
none
move,
at all.
Dude. Such a power move.
That's awesome. I need to get on that wave. I would stink up this whole place.
Yeah. I think it's called Get on the Asian Wave. It's kind of too late for you on that.
Damn it.
Just got to go back a 20 few years.
That's funny. I noticed that a lot of your content, you do a great job on Instagram of sharing these shareable carousels, but most of it in the beginning started on YouTube, and still to this day, we're getting about 3 YouTube videos a week when I averaged it out. Why did you start on YouTube? And I noticed that your content isn't like, you know, we come from a filmmaking background. If I was to make a YouTube video, it's going to be like, we're going to set up all these lights. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to take them to the gym. I'm going to have a
B-roll galore.
B-roll galore. B-roll city, right? You're sitting down and it's a hour-long conversation, which traditionally you think that's not a YouTube video. It is, but it's like, that's not the traditional YouTube video. Why do you think that has been successful and you've kept doing it? It obviously works. I looked at the views. They're doing super well. And what do you think kind of is the future for your YouTube channel, pun intended?
Okay. YouTube was the only reason why I was on YouTube is because Jose said, let's go make YouTube videos.
Okay.
If he said, let's make Snapchat videos, that's what I would be doing, or Vine videos. I don't know any better. I didn't even know what social platforms. I literally had to ask him one time before we started making content together, like, I don't understand Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but what do you do here? Like, what? I don't understand any of this stuff. So I'm like the idiot in the social media space, and I still am to this day. And I want to park that and come back to that later. First, answer your question. So we're trying to figure out what to do with YouTube. And he and we want to do a talk show. He used to host a show called This Week in Web Design. It was Jason Calacanis' network, and he used to do that for Jason as one of the many programs on YouTube. And so we set up a 3-camera setup. We had an automated dolly thing on a curved track, you know, using all the film language. We made it in black and white, so it was kind of artsy. Cool. And we did that. And now what? Now what are we going to do? My identity isn't so much as a YouTuber, but as an educator. I want to teach you something. So what I know how to do is I know how to hold a marker, hold attention, and to draw things. But back then it was like, I don't even know what to draw here. So I'll just lean on my other skill, which is a graphic designer. I've made keynote presentations. I've given keynote presentations. So you go to what's familiar to you. So I would just over prepare on the keynote deck and have the team intercut between us talking to the slides. And that seemed to work. Once it was just me, it's like, well, now I can do whatever I want. What do I want to do? To this day, I think our highest performing videos are, you give me a marker, you give me a hungry audience, and I'll do whatever. And the more I can rip into them, the better the content's going to perform. So when there's like someone who wants to argue with me, which is all the ones that have more than 1 million views, when I say something salacious, outrageous, or controversial, everybody comes out. For good and for bad, like finally somebody put that person down, or this is not going to age well for you. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. So I like to teach, and that's my natural format. It's either in a keynote or a whiteboard. Everything else is just because a compromise. Like it's a one-man crew. I'm going to sit in a chair. Focus is the most important part. Like if I go like this, I'm out of focus.
You brought up the carousels though. Was it Michael Jonda?
Yeah, Michael Jonda.
Okay. So he was the one who told you about carousels, or like that you saw that he was doing that and you were like, let me try to do that. How many followers before you started doing those carousels did you have, and how many were you gaining like every month? It was pretty like meteoric, correct?
Like I said, I'm not doing this for effect. I really am just an idiot when it comes to social media. And the point I wanted to make on this is, despite being an idiot with social, being way past his prime, way too old for social, if you know how to make great content, eventually this will work. If you're committed to doing this. So I tell everybody, oh, the algorithm hates me, I've been shadow banned. My response is usually, it could be because your content sucks and you don't know how to write.
Usually it's bad.
Usually it's that. It's easy to blame, oh, the internet doesn't like me. I'm like, no, it's just not good content. It's super generic. So I'm watching Janda, and he's growing. I think I'm at like 30,000 followers. The first 5 was easy to get. The next 5 was hell to get, because I'm like, I've exhausted my friends and family network or my students. I would literally tell them in class, like, you guys need to follow me. It's part of class. So it really is. I'm grading you on the fact that you know how to follow instructions.
Y'all don't want to fail.
Yeah, don't fail that. I was freaking growing 8 followers a month. No, because I had 8 students. That's kind of how I was smashing social. I just keep working at this. I'm like, I don't know what works here. I don't know what to share. It feels really weird. So Janda is coming out of nowhere. I'm like, dude, I cannot let this older white guy freaking catch up to me. This is not right. It's just not right. But he's growing, and I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. Using this carousel thing. And I can see the playbook, even if somebody doesn't tell me. I got to hear Eros and Hugh talk about, Acronym, the clothing brand?
Yeah,
streetwear. Eros and Hugh is the founder or co-founder. And I saw him speak at an event one time before I got to know him. And he said something like, don't copy what people do. Copy the thinking or the process or the methodology of what they do. That requires you to like have some higher level view of this thing. Because if they cut something diagonally, you cut something diagonally just like them, then you're just copying what they do. But if you try to understand, they're trying to create asymmetrical forms, you might find a different way of expressing that. So when I look at Janda's post, I know what he's doing. This is all from his book. I already know this. So he wrote a book, and he's peeling back chapters of his book, which is also driving traffic to a course that he's selling. I can see the playbook. I meet him. I'm like, dude, you're doing it. This is awesome. He goes, Chris, you have to do this. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I just needed you to say this on TV so that people don't say you took Janda's playbook. And I give him lots of credit for showing me that you can use 10 slides. Before then, it was 3 slides. And I didn't even know that it switched over to 10. It's one of those things like, duh. And so I was thinking, oh, you're using a keynote. I don't have a book, but I have not hundreds, but approaching 100 keynotes, of which there are a couple hundred slides per keynote. Started doing that. And eventually you get into a cadence and you figure out what works. And it took a little while to make it work. So my goal was to get 10,000 new followers in 2 weeks. I got 20,000 followers in 2 weeks. And now I'm like, I'm a genius. I know how this works, But I was dedicating 2 weeks of my life to figuring this out. I cleared my schedule. Nobody talked to me. I'm just going to figure this out. First day, made 1 post. Second day, made 1 post. And I knew I had to post like 3 or 4 times a day to get to 10,000. But once you catch the wave and you get into rhythm, by about little after like midweek, I started to figure out the cadence. I can increase the volume of content I was producing. I figured it out to a degree, and I started to grow really, really fast. So that was like from 30,000 to like 50,000 to 70,000. This is happening in weeks amount of time.
Damn.
That's insane. And it's similar to like growing this pod. Like we started out just doing like 1 reel a week or something.
Yeah.
And then we hired on a person to help us. And now we're post 3 times a day. And it has been crazy because people just share it. And then one of them will kick off and then they're all kicking off at once. And that is the reason, going back to your point, I think talking about Michael Janda and like the thing that he was doing, we tell people to look at what the best people are doing in the respective space that you want to get into and say, what little tiny thing can I take from this? Like, what is that person doing? Right. He's posting these carousels. Great. Or this person's posting vertical video on a horizontal platform. Why is it working? And kind of take these little details and put it into the things you're doing. And you'll be drastically further ahead like 6 months from now if you just do it consistently. So going back to the swap over from the blind team to your personal brand. did a lot of the people stay with you and keep working on your personal brand, or did they were like, hey, I came to a design firm, like I don't want to help you grow this new business, this new venture of coaching that you're going after? And what was that period of time like?
It was pretty rough. I would say people fell into 3 categories. The skeptical, I don't believe this is never going to work. They ultimately found different jobs or forced me to get rid of them. They're the people, I'm all in, I don't even care, I don't understand, but let's go, because this was a culture of embracing and driving change. Then there were the people in the middle, like, I'm not sure, I'm not out, I'm not in. Those are the most difficult to work through. So the yeses are great, the nos are great, the maybes are always very dangerous because you wind up pouring into them. Some of them work out, some of them do not. And it wasn't that they were helping me to build my personal brand. And what people don't know is when Jose and I split, there was this moment where I'm like, this is going to suck to rebuild. New Facebook community. We kept the channel, but we're changing the logo and the identity. So it's kind of weird, but we're doing it. So everything else had to be rebuilt. And now I'm like on my own. And Jose was the guy who was guiding me through this social media stuff. And now I had to figure it out. Surprise, surprise, you figured out pretty quickly. Our audience grew on Facebook faster than it did for the school. We did probably in a month and a half what it took us 2 years to build as a school, but there was a singular voice and I was writing the posts. I was sharing my thoughts. So as the Futur, as a brand, a company of one and one assistant, I was writing content. So I would write I didn't write we because there's no we, it's just me. And people were criticizing me saying, shouldn't you always speak in the plural? I said, when there's a plural here, I'll speak in the plural. But this is my opinion. If you want to start a company, you write however you want. I felt it was more dishonest to write we. I'm not posturing like this is this Viacom or something. It's just not Omni Media. It's just Chris writing, and it just happens to be the Futur, and that's this brand. And so we do this. It starts to pick up momentum and steam. And so the team that was like ready to jump, they're like, when do we jump? I'm like, I have no money. Keep earning money over there. And they would start to work after hours on the weekend to just try and help. And they wanted to help me make more content or manage the channel or optimize things. And at first, that's all they were doing until it became clear that we can run a real business. There was real money involved. I think when we hit like $1.2 million in revenue, like we can make this work. It's not enough to pay for everybody, but there's enough proof here that we can make it work.
Did you begin to run ads immediately, or was a lot of it just organic? And is it still all organic, or do you run paid ads? Do you have a team that does that, or do you do it all yourself?
Most of what we do is organic earned media. And when I tell people how much we spent, because there are people who try and help, they're like, what is your ad spend? I'm like, let me look it up. It's $22,000. They're like, 22 grand like in a month? I'm like, no, all year. And they fall out of the chair because we literally know people who spend $500,000 to $1 million a month in advertising. And they need to spend that money so that they can bring in traffic because they have very low organic reach.
Yeah, they're not posting as much as you, and they're not giving as much value.
They're not giving value.
Yeah.
That's their challenge.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
They got to bring in the wolf, dude. Call in the wolf. You can fix theirs, dude.
Yeah, that's funny. I also feel like a lot of the people on social that are educators, I think that it can get like a bad rap. Like I've done a coaching program for these last 3 years. I've loved every second of it. But when I first started doing it, people were like, you're making a course, you're selling out. And I'm like, no, don't buy it. Don't buy the damn thing if you don't want to learn from it. I'm confident that it'll work though. And I think to your point, you built a successful design firm. You knew what it took. You're like, I'm not just some phony guy who says I'm a designer and is not actually doing the damn thing. I have this company over here. If someone wants to get into coaching, what do you feel like is almost like this barrier that they kind of need to overcome? Because I think it's common. Like even people I'm talking, I want to make this coaching program, but I'm scared. Like I don't want to do it. It's common in our space right now. And I think it gets a bad rap for these fake gurus that didn't actually do the damn thing.
I say the first step into becoming a coach is to make sure you've done it yourself enough times with enough frequency and consistency that you can confidently take somebody's money and not leave them high and dry. That your life is relatively long. Your reputation is precious. So take care of your reputation because it doesn't take a lot for it to be ruined. There's a couple people who make consistent videos. I won't name them by name, but they talk a lot about financials and investment, and they get attached to one scheme after another, and they're like, I could not have known. I just couldn't know that this bank was not real.
Yeah.
I'm like,
FTX.
Dude, you burned so many people. Why would you do that? Don't you have money? Like, why would you do that? Why would you lend your good name to this? It's just not a good look for you. And eventually, people might forget, and there may be new suckers for you to rope in, but it's just not how you want to live. your reputation follows you long after the money has gone. So focus on that. My challenge is there are a lot of people who barely learn how to do something and they try and turn around and flip it. And they're taking advantage of this thing where the people who write the content, who spend years researching and practicing and studying, they're not very charismatic. Let's just say some of them are homely. They're just so weird on camera and they never even thought to be on camera. Then you have a young person who's fairly charismatic, understands the language of social, goes through the book and it's like, I'll start teaching this, not cite anything and pretend like I've come up with this content. Even famous people, have done this. I'm like, it's not a good look. When people who know, it's not a good look. So I would see lettering artists who would teach lettering courses who could barely draw a curved line without shaking. It's the chicken scratch drawing. I know you put in your time when you draw an arc, a sweep, a line, and it's a confident line. We've learned how to do this in art school. Clearly you did not. And the way that you talk about things and the letter forms in which you design, I can tell you don't know what you're doing. But there are a lot more people who know less than you, and so they think you know what you're doing. And that's why I didn't want to get into the YouTube space. I didn't want to have a course because I don't want to be associated with any of those people. So much so, it's kind of weird because there's a lot of people who follow us in the future. It's like, who's this young Yahoo kid who has never made a dollar? They literally say this in the comments. Like, I don't mean to flex, but I think I've lost more money than you've made in your life. I'm sure that's a great flex, but what do you mean I don't know anything about business? You want to show your receipts? You want to sit down and talk? But that's how the internet is. They're easily fooled. Everyone's an expert and everyone's a fool at the same time.
Yeah, I saw that on when I was researching for the show. Like, you went on Reddit and you're like, if you want to talk, I'll talk to you. And you're not afraid to like go at them. Like, what do you want to know? Like, what do you think I'm bullshitting about? I think that's commendable because most people are like, nah, I'm not gonna like talk to these assholes. Right. And you go back at them. You're like, yo, let me know. What do you want?
I want to talk to them.
Yeah, you want to know why they think these things.
Okay. You see me in the comments. You've seen me send out the invites. Out of 100 trolls or critics, how many have actually accepted my invitation to have a live debate with me? How many do you think? Out of 100?
Oh, I bet it's 0.
Like 4?
4? 0? What do you think?
A handful. Yeah, like 2 or 3.
Okay. 0.
Yeah, no
0%.
$1,
Chris wants all the smoke.
I'm ready. Bring it. I'll destroy you. I really will. Right? And here's the thing. It's like, it's pretty brave for you to type. Recently, I got into it with somebody. I don't remember on what platform. That's probably YouTube. Somebody's like, oh, he always talks about like how he manages people. This guy can't design anything. I'm like, show me your website, bro. What you got? He goes, I say, here's my website. He's like, well, where's your name on everything? Like, what would you do? And it's like, do you know what it means to run a company, to own a company? Right? And he's like, well, I'm not saying I'm a designer. I'm like, so you're not a designer. You won't show your website, but you have all these opinions about what designers should be doing. Let's go. What do you want to do? I'll do live I'll do whatever.
Do like a live draw off.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fun. I love that you cited the sources at the Adobe Max conference. I thought that like at the end, you're like, these are the sources. This is where I got my stuff from. I thought that was really cool. And I've been meeting with a business coach and he talks about working within your gift. And you talk about identifying your superpower. So how can somebody identify their superpower and bring it into their personal brand?
Okay. First, the citing part. I almost do it to a fault. And if you literally look at the slides, you'll see if there's a line or idea, I put the person's name and their title, their book, whatever, because this is how you honor people. And I think it's really weird and suspicious for people to use other people's ideas and pretend they came up with it. I don't know who you're fooling because this stuff catches you. When you catch somebody telling one lie, you just assume nothing you say is the truth. And I don't understand this. And there's lots of people on social media who follow me who then post the exact same content and make no reference to me. I'm like, what are you doing? And I DM them like, oh, I'm sorry. I was practicing. Or I'm like, that's not how you practice. You practice in a quiet room somewhere. You don't post it and pretend like it's yours. I don't understand this. It's not a good look for you. And they're like, oh, I'll take it down right now. I'm like, do you really need me to tell you that? So it's really weird. And to a point in which some respected professionals say, Chris, it's almost like you give away too much credit. So like we need to know, what is your idea into this? I'm like, yeah, I don't really care to own anything. I am a collection of a lot of different influences from mentors, friends, teachers, books that I read, concepts that I see on YouTube. You can own whatever. I'm not in the business of trying to own ideas. I don't care if you think I did it or not. That's not really on me. Now, tell me your question again.
How can someone identify their superpower
Okay.
and bring it into their personal brand?
All right. I believe this, whether you're a spiritual person, a God-loving person, or you're an atheist, it doesn't really matter. The universe conspired to produce you. You're like a 1 in a billion shot of a bunch of different things happening, luck, circumstance, fate, design, whatever. And each one of us, I think, has at least one gift, something that we do better than most with very little effort. Unfortunately for most of us, when that gift presented itself, it didn't look like a gift because it didn't fit within the construct of what normal people say that's valuable. And, early 2000s, maybe the gift was about engineering, sciences, the kind of left brain stuff. And so all the right brainers like, I can't play, and you'll suffer as a starving artist, and you bury it and you keep telling yourself, this is not good, this is not valuable. But the people who recognize this gift, who are able to present it to the world, tap into some kind of power. And you see on these singing competitions, when there's like some old guy, I saw one recently, he was a janitor, his teeth was messed up, his face was a little messed up, but when he sang, it was like, oh my God. Or Susan Boyle, who had the voice of an angel with a unibrow, and she finally, at whatever age she was, she could not be a young lady at that point, and she does her bit, she becomes famous for how she does her thing, and then she goes back to her normal life because she couldn't handle that kind of exposure. But I think all of us have at least that one gift. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, I don't know what that gift is, there are some clues from your childhood. If you look back at maybe between 3 and 7 years old, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little bit later, there's something that you did that you just knew was so easy to do. Whatever that is, it could be painting, it could be constructing things out of nothing, it could be crafting something. I don't know what it is, or maybe equations came really easy to you, but for some reason it didn't fit in somebody's plan for you, so then you let that thing go. Revisit that thing. If you always love to make music or to build things or to destroy things, lean into that. So I know for a period of time, these videos were very, very popular, were like, will it blend? Yeah. Somebody is sick and twisted, and like, I would never do that, but as a child, I bet you that's what they're doing. They're smashing things all the time. They're waiting for society to catch up where that was going to be valuable. There's people, and I see this, fairly decent looking guy. I think he's Hispanic. I think his name is Juan. He goes on college campuses and talks to girls and does weird things like, I love you.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, that is not my thing.
Mad confident.
That makes my back sweat.
He's got rizzed.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know how he does what he does, but where else is this skill valuable? Not a lot of places, but you know what? Puts the camera on him and he's just pranking people. He's just having fun. It works really well. So find that gift, that talent that you have. And sometimes the talent is a confluence of a couple different skills and weird interests that you might have. So I'll tell you something about me. I love comic books. I love mixed martial arts. I grew up heavily influenced by 80s skateboard graphics. And I love graphic design and business and now writing, I guess. I didn't even know that. So if you look at what I produce, it's a combination of all those things put together. Reflect back on Adobe Max, the personal branding talk that I did. It was dripping with Marvel stuff that I probably would get sued for. I'm really into teaching people how to build stories because that's what I used to do at school. I'm trying to tie it into something that's relevant around content and writing, and I'm putting all that together. A space that I think I can do better than most. And you look at people who are really nerdy into research, like dead people, like biographies, and they just read biographies all day long. It's not my jam. So when they do that, I'm just really impressed. Like, how do you remember that person did this and how they're connected to this? And they're just really great at doing their research in history. That's their jam. It's not my thing. So oftentimes we sit here and look at them and say, I wish I was more like them. And they're sitting there wishing they were more like us. So when we start to like take that mirror and bend it towards us, we'll see what it is we're meant to do.
And if you could have an actual superpower, what would you choose?
Oh, nice pivot.
When I was a kid, the only superpower I wanted, just a reflection of my wounded nature, I just wanted the power of invisibility. Because I had a, not such a great childhood upbringing in terms of like not being accepted by people. I was one of a few Asian people in a mostly white dominant culture, and I'm a small guy, I got into some issues, and so I'm like, I just need to be invisible right now. So that's the power, that's my default power.
Chase, what's yours?
Well, I just want to say how crazy it is that you went from that to now like YouTube personality, like all the things that you've done. It's just admirable as fuck. It's cool. Mine? Oh man.
What are you going with?
I don't even know. Like
Toasty wants strength for
Toasty
sure.
wants strength. He needs it.
No, I have that one already.
Right.
Duh.
I think
Oh, I'm flying, dude.
I
That's-
would
I'm
I
going
would
flying.
I would be able to digest gluten.
That's good power.
Yeah, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
If I
And
could
then Billie Jean would be really happy.
That's so funny.
She wants more gluten.
Chris, a long time ago on your YouTube, I bought a book actually that you recommended by Ronald Baker about
Yep.
value-based pricing.
Yep.
It changed everything that I've done as a business person, as a creator, as a filmmaker, and I've told a lot of people about to buy this $120 book that most people
I know.
that most people don't. Ron's gonna make it more cheap, dude.
Right.
No, he doesn't.
You're right.
No.
You're right. Double the price of
Gatekeep.
it. You're right.
Right there.
Triple the price of it.
Yeah.
So with this book on value-based pricing, when you read this book,
Yeah.
was that one of the first times that you had heard about this implementation of the pricing? And what is value-based pricing for those that don't know what it is?
Okay. I love compounded questions. Well, not really.
My bad.
No, okay. First, I have money. I saw that price of the book. I was like sitting on Amazon, like put it on the wish list, move it back in the cart, put it in the wish list. I'm 120. It's not 120 bucks, literally, is it?
No, it is. It's
Is
like
it?
120.
It was just a pricey book. I'm like, what is this? Is this a textbook from a school?
Right.
What is this? But I order it anyways. I've already been talking about value-based pricing for a long time prior to getting to that book, because we've been practicing it in our business in a different way. We do it in the real world, and then later on I find out there's an academic explanation for it. So I like to tie in instinctively how we evolve to do things like in our business, and then I read about the principle. I'm like, oh, somebody did a lot of research to figure this stuff out, but we're already doing it. But now I'm armed with the kind of academic research and language that I can describe it to folks. But if you watch, like, our videos have been talking about this for quite some time before I'm actually reading this book. So what is value-based pricing? Value-based pricing is to say that the mistake that service professionals do is they say, my time is worth a certain amount of money, and based on units of time, I'm going to multiply my value times time and sell it to you. It takes into no account as to what matters to you. It's all about me. And I would argue with people that pricing things based on your time and your value is a very self-centered approach to pricing. So if I make a logo and you all represent 3 different companies, if you're a startup, you're a mature kind of established company, and you're like a Fortune 100 company, the logo would be worth vastly different amounts to each one of you. And for me to come in it's like, say a number, like it's $10,000, $10,000, $10,000, $10,000. You're like, that's too much. I don't need to go to hell. You're like, I think I can do it. It's still a little pricey. Can you justify? He's like, that's too cheap. I can't hire you. You see what I'm saying? So value-based pricing says you price the customer and not the job. So each person has a problem to solve relative to them, because value is relative. It's subjective. It's personal. And so like beauty is, like, you probably all 3 have different standards of beauty or fairness and value. And the example that I heard Jonathan Stark talk about, which is his son plays a digital like video game on his iPad or something, and he wants to spend money to buy coins because he wants to upgrade in the suit or the gun that he has. And it doesn't make it perform better, it just looks different. And that's important to him. His dad, Jonathan, is like, this makes no freaking sense, but I love you. Here's the money. And then take my hard-earned money, just give it to this company, and it gives you no value. But to that kid, it means a lot. Just like Pokemon cards have no real value, but to the people who collect them, they say it's valuable. So you could have the most rare, ultra rare $1 million card. It's worth nothing to you. You give it to one of the Pauls and they're going to go crazy over it, right? So it's subjective, it's individual, it's contextual, and it varies greatly. So what we should do is we should ask, is a logo worth anything to you? You're like, not really. My business is banging. I don't need a logo. I'm like, cool. I don't want to sell you a logo. Are you solving a problem where a logo helps to get you closer to your goals? You're like, maybe, but it's not critical. You know what? We do $35 million for printing every year. And this logo, if it goes wrong, it's going to cost us not just the printing cost, but it costs us in lost revenue.
Right. Like the Kia logo redesign over here. That's probably cost $1 billion to design, right?
No, the Kia logo's fine.
No, but
Don't
the
start
one
with
they
me.
redesigned it like 5 years ago. And that was probably a huge job. Now I think, like, I never thought about
It's
how
$1 million job for sure.
Yeah, that's insane.
But it's fine. You're talking about like Orangina or something.
Yeah, sure.
That's the real case study because people couldn't find the package. And so it was a better design on a objective level. It looked better, it was more modern, it was fresher looking, everything. But people who were used to finding Orangina or something like, or Tropicana, I'm sorry, it's Tropicana orange juice, I believe, and they couldn't find it. So their sales plummeted. It cost them millions of dollars because they had a better design that didn't sell. So they had to revert.
Wow.
That's where design actually matters.
What are your thoughts on HBO Max rebranding to just Max? I feel like they've had decades of building up the branding of HBO Max, and now they switched to Max. Do you feel like that hurts them at all?
What I always caution creative folks to do is don't look at the tip of the iceberg to determine what the rest of it looks like, because we just don't know. Do you know what HBO stands for?
I do not.
No
It's
idea.
an acronym. It stands for something. Do you know?
Home broadcasting something?
Observer.
Yeah, okay, you got some of the words correct.
Wow, let's go, Chase.
It stands for Home Box Office because HBO got its start with boxing. So you're at the box office and you're buying boxing things. This is the legacy of the brand. That's a long freaking time ago. Boxing's not even relevant anymore. Okay, it was between Showtime, and those are two competing brands for live entertainment sports, specifically boxing, I believe. So now we're into the digital streaming age, and HBO does way more than home box office stuff, right? So perhaps on a business unit, they're like, we're making a departure here. Just like how Reed Hastings tried to change Netflix to Netflix and some other service because he wanted one to mean something and the other to mean something else. Do you remember that? There was a split there for half a second. People freaked out. They're like, oops, our bad, we'll put it back. So the business people that are behind the scenes thinking about the 5-10 year thing, about the legacy of the brand and wanting to say, we're making a departure here. We have that at some point, let go of the legacy so that we can forge a new future. So everybody who knows about HBO will get a little upset. But moving forward, as the days, weeks, months, and years go on, people are not going to remember that, and it's okay. I just don't like the aesthetic of it, Max. And we have mutual friends that designed the logo. I'm like, okay, that's all.
I think this is a perfect time. You brought up boxing. I feel like we should do the role play.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
think you both
Okay.
should be asking Chris.
Oh,
This is a warm
you
lead.
have to warm me up for this.
Okay. We know and we've seen your work, and we do want to work with you. Okay. We own a brand that's a sunglasses company. We're B2C. And our average product cost is $150.
There's a lot of facts for
I
me to
know.
remember here.
I'll flip it around for you.
trying to remember 'em
Okay,
too.
we want to increase brand awareness, want to drive sales, and we want to be known as a big player in the space. You can't see the budget, okay? Don't scroll down. That's your description.
Who's selling who?
You're selling me on your services.
I'm a design company.
You're a design company.
You manufacture sunglasses?
No. We're gonna
let's do design.
Okay,
That's his background. Do design. Chris,
Yes.
what's happening?
Hey, man.
I am really excited about this call. I'm looking forward to potentially getting some design from you. I don't even know what that means, but our logo probably needs some work,
Yeah.
I think. And we have these sunglasses, right? And these are going to be in a lot of places. Nordstrom's is going to be carrying these. We're going global. A lot of online sales is happening right now. And we kind of want to take over with this new logo, really shake up the sunglasses world.
Sounds like you got a lot going on.
We
here.
do. We're growing fast.
Yeah. Okay.
This place is booming.
All right. Usually when people approach me, they tell me what they want, and most of the times they're right. But what I want to do is take a half step back and say something has changed in your life to warrant this kind of conversation. It's either something's going really well or something's not going well. Is it one of these two things or something totally different?
Yeah, we just fired our other design firm.
Fudge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't like them.
All right.
They weren't responding to our emails
really
quick enough.
slow.
Real slow people. We need this logo by the end of the month, and we're at June 2nd right now. So we need it by the end of the month. Do you think that's like a doable timeline to get this back to us?
Okay, so let me first just understand before I answer that question.
Okay.
It sounds like you're a fast-moving company. I don't know that much about you. I apologize. And you need a responsive player to make sure they're moving as quickly as you.
Exactly.
But before we even get into that, what is the motivation, the reason why you are trying to change the logo or to change whatever it is that you're changing?
We just got into Nordstrom, as he mentioned.
Okay, you got a deal in Nordstrom.
We got a deal in Nordstrom.
Perfect.
And I feel like people used to view the branding as like cheaper. Like it wasn't as good. The logo wasn't as good. And
Good to know.
Nordstrom, because there's a lot of variety, right? You can get cheap-ish at Nordstrom, but not really. It's all pretty nice. We want to be on the nicer end of the Nordstrom sunglasses that you'll see once you're walking through the department store.
Perfect. You got a big deal at Nordstrom. Did they comment on the necessity for you to move up or down market or position?
They didn't say anything. They just said keep selling the sunglasses.
Okay. So the product doesn't change. You're for whatever reason decided you want a different logo.
Yeah.
Couple of quick questions. What's the price point? Like what's the consumer price point retail?
$150 retail. We're changing it now. $200 retail.
Okay. Just like that.
Live call.
Yeah, live call on the call.
We move fast. We move fast.
I told you we move quick, dude.
Proof is in the pudding right here. $200. Okay. I'm not that familiar with the sunglass market. Okay. Where does that put you? Who are the competitors slightly above you and below you?
Above us is like we got Tom Ford, we got Dolce and Gabbana. Those guys are sitting at like $350, $400
and more, I think.
Yeah,
Ray-Ban's a little above us.
Yeah, Ray-Ban's a little below us, Chase.
Oh, really?
Below.
Chase is not on the marketing side of things.
No.
It's just more design and logo based.
I'm just here for the vibes.
He might need to be fired.
Yeah, if you move fast, prove it.
Okay.
Yeah, so about $200 is the price point. So we're sitting right in the middle. I feel like of the cheaper ones are in the $75 to $100, and we're sitting below the biggest designer brands, the Dior's, all those. But we want to be able to play ball. We want people to be able to afford our glasses that can't maybe buy the Dior's and kind of sit with us in a premier brand.
Okay. This might be a weird question.
Okay.
And if it is, just say next question. Do you see yourself as a higher end Ray-Ban or like top of the Ray-Ban category or an affordable version of the Tom Fords, the Dior's, and the Dolce & Gabbanas?
What do you think?
I always thought of us as a high-end Ray-Ban.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
I think that's probably appropriate.
Yeah, let's play with that.
Okay. So you want a logo, and I would be happy to help you with your logo and whatever other design needs you have. But before we get into that, if you didn't change the logo, would it do anything to your business? Like, would it have any adverse effect? Or is this a pure like aesthetic play, or do you think it's actually going to move the needle for you?
I think it might move the needle for us. And I think it is bigger on the aesthetic play, but I think there is a possibility that it could move the needle. Maybe 10% in gross sales is what I'm hoping.
So you think changing the logo could improve, but 10% is a lot to risk to change. Like, I don't know, you guys might want to talk about this, but, and don't get me wrong. If you want to force money down my, into my bank account, I'll take it. But I want to make sure what I do is actually going to be valuable to you. Lots of people ask us new website, new logos. And once we get deeper into the business, we learn that this is actually not a good play for them. So if you change your logo, I think you risk, and you know this, confusion in the marketplace. Lots of people are attached to an emotional feeling in terms of the logo, what it means to them. And if you're thinking it's only going to move 10%, is it worth it? And that's a decision you guys have to make. What's your gut telling you right now?
I think we want to go with Chris. I really do. I think that his design and his firm is going to take us to that next level.
That's what we need, dude.
Yeah.
For Shady Boys Inc.
I haven't even sold you yet, and you're going with it.
I think just hearing what he's saying, I'm bought in. I'm fully.
Well,
I'm bought in.
Seems like he cares about us.
Yeah, it seems like he does care. He's trying not to just sell it to me off the bat. This is a wall right here. Chris can't hear this conversation. This part.
I was on mute the whole time.
You were on mute. You were on mute.
Yeah.
I do think that this guy is someone that we want to go with. I think he can help us out a lot.
And we got to make sure that
the price point
needle a little bit
and
more.
I think the price point, like, let's see what his price is at, and let's go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, we're back.
Yeah.
Sorry for the brief interruption.
Our dog was
worries.
barking.
Take your time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back on the 10%, and I do believe that this change could be a 20-ish% increase in sales for us. I think that having us in Nordstrom's and having a more premier feel to our brand is what is going to push it. That's what we're thinking from the internal team.
Super. Thanks for entertaining that idea for me. Does Nordstrom have any say in this at all? Because I know sometimes these big retailers, they want input on the packaging and the design, the logo. They said, just let's go.
We have freedom.
You have freedom.
Yeah.
Would you care to get their opinion at all?
No.
Is that a good idea?
Probably not.
Right. I mean, Okay, sorry. Let's just back up a little
Okay.
bit. How big is this order for? How many units are you selling to them?
I see. Now he's getting into the units.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to sell.
Is that under mute?
No.
No, you were talking loudly to me too. I
Yeah,
hear
he
that.
wants to hear the units, and that's an understandable question because
We do sell units.
We sell units. 100,000 units at $200 a pop.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
so
how many they bought.
your wholesale price would be 100.
No. That our wholesale price is $100.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
To
talking
Nordstrom's.
about $100,000. No.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's more.
No, it's $1 million.
It's a
$1 million deal.
million
Yeah,
dollar
yeah.
deal.
Yeah, it's $1 million deal.
Damn, dude, see, he's getting into these numbers.
We're getting
Fudge.
rich, dude.
It's
Oh God, he's gonna charge.
it's
us a lot.
super. I can hear you, by the way.
I know.
You're
I
not
know.
on mute.
No, I know.
It's a
I'm-
strategy.
No. Look, the way I like to work with my clients is to make sure we're making good business decisions, because at the end of the day, you can hire lots of designers to make your stuff. I feel like it would be irresponsible. And it's unfortunate what happens with a lot of creative people. They're so hungry to get the business that later on you're like, wait, we just effed up our entire business. This is $1 million deal that went bad because we're making poor decisions. Here's my recommendation. Whoever you wind up working with, whether it's me or anybody else, I would say quickly do some mock-ups and tests and get it in front of customers and run surveys or interviews, and then get it in front of Nordstrom's as well to say, we're in the middle of rebranding. I know you trust us, but we want to get your input on this. At least get them bought in on this. So you need their backing, because if they think it stinks, they're not going to push your product.
Okay.
So I think some part of the plan has to be like that.
I'm done.
You're done with that?
I'm into that. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a great call. And I was originally going to say no to Nordstrom's being a part of this, but I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring them in.
Yeah,
So-
bring him in. Bring him
okay.
into this convo.
Aside from price, what else do you need to know about me or our firm for you to make a decision either to go with us or to go with someone else? Anything else we need to talk
Price is the biggest one.
about? Okay, let's talk about price. So you're talking about $1 million initiative here that could grow into something else. What are you guys setting aside for budget here?
10% of gross sale or of net sales.
Of net sales. So what is your net margin on $1
On this
million
on
of
this
sales?
million,
Yeah.
500,000.
500. So you're saying 50K? Mm-hmm. Okay.
For
Tell
this
me-
initial
yeah,
first test
yeah.
project, because I want to grow with you. I want to have you guys as my design
packaging.
Yeah, I want to have you guys do my design. You guys are gonna be my design of record.
Okay.
My design agency on record.
I wish I had $1 every time somebody told me that. I'd be $5 richer. Okay. So there's a logo.
Yep.
Is there anything else we need to talk about?
That's really it.
Yeah,
That's it.
packaging
Chris.
is fine.
You think we do the packaging as well?
No, I think for now we leave it. It's just black. you
Okay,
know?
it's pretty sleek.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
pretty sleek
Sleek.
and simple. But
Okay.
maybe down the we kill this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really need. I think that 50,000 is kind of where I'm sitting.
Okay.
Can they get the job done?
All right. So just a few other things before I say yes or no here. So the logo is applied to the sunglasses.
Yes.
And it's applied to the packaging, to the website. Any other unusual application I need to know about, because sometimes that will impact how we design the logo.
There is like a little display at Nordstrom.
Okay,
that's
point of
like-
sale display?
Yeah, it's kind of
Perfect.
It's kind of oval shaped.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see a problem there. Okay. I think I can work with you guys in your budget. I get a really good vibe from you guys. Yeah, I think I can make this work for 50K.
Chris, let's
Dude,
go.
We're working together.
Done deal.
This is really interesting, and I love how you got it out of us, but you asked about the unit price and
Yeah.
how many we were going to sell, and I don't think enough people talk about that. They just immediately go into these we have a lot of filmmakers and photographers that listen to our pod, not as many designers, but they'll go into these calls and they might be making a video that has $1 million impact, or
Right.
like they don't ask the question. This is they say it's an internal video, right? A lot of them won't say, hey, what's the investment for these people that you're showing to internally? Oh, if we lock them in, it's $1 million. It's like, okay, well, how many people do you lock in a year? They don't go that extra mile, and I appreciate how slow you were, and I'm going to take that into my calls, because
Right.
I didn't feel sold to it all. I wanted to give you the damn money. I'm like, I
felt it.
I want
I
to
felt
give
you wanted to
you did. No, I really did, and it felt like you cared, and you took a step back, and I think that's something that a lot of you can take into your sales cycle. It shouldn't feel like you're trying to sell them, and I didn't feel sold to it all. I wanted to give you the money, really, the work speaks for itself, and you get a vibe of them on the phone, and I'm like, man, these guys aren't trying to take advantage of me. They want to help my business grow, and they care about it. Like, I was going to tell Nordstrom to F off,
Right.
but if he didn't say that, we weren't going to go talk to Nordstrom's. They'd probably be upset at us.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
The role of the designer is not to make you stuff, is to make sure your business objectives are met through the language of design. And the way that we show our expertise and the way we add value to the conversation is to be able to speak the language of business. So you have blind spots. You're like, go, 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 go. Well, does it matter? Should we do this? What if your partner's freaked the F out? Because this does happen and I have enough experience. So I would tell people, how do you prove that you're an experienced creative person? And they're like, well, my portfolio, awards, press, what? I'm like, no, the quality of the questions that you ask. A young person, if you were to talk to my son, who's a designer too, he'd be like, I'm ready to go. You want black, white, purple? You want cartoons or you want typeface? He's ready into the execution mode because he doesn't have that knowledge. He doesn't know what a double keystone is. He doesn't know the difference between retail, net, and gross sales are. And he can't talk to you about that. So in that instance, you're like, we're the business people. That's the creative. We just tell the creative what to do. But what I need to do is establish like, I am the creative person, but I bring a certain knowledge about industry and things that is value add. In that way, I allow you guys to decide, he's a partner. How could we decide to work with anybody else but him? Because the other monkeys are just going to do what we tell them to do.
And they're just trying to sell us right off.
They're trying to close you.
Yeah, right.
They don't even care. They care that you sign the line, sign on the dotted line.
Now, if you flip the switch and 50K was too much, I feel like oftentimes you get the objection of, oh, you're too expensive. How would you recommend a creator, someone creative, photo, video, design, whatever it may be, how can they handle the objection of you're too expensive?
Okay. Very good question. First, what did you write down for your budget? You told me not to scroll up.
Yeah,
what did you write down?
It was a lot cheaper.
It was a lot. It was 3,000 to 4,000. But Brayden really got sold on it.
Yeah, I could feel it.
But
he really got sold.
whoa, I didn't. What you didn't see, I didn't write down the units sold, and then I blurted out that number.
You upped it.
It had to make sense.
Right.
No, it had to make sense.
You'd be embarrassed at that point.
3 to 4 grand. He'd be like, get off the damn phone with me.
Okay,
So I want to be.
This is really important though. Okay, because what is the price of a logo? It could be 300, it could be 3,000, it could be 30 or 300. We just don't know. So what I tell people a lot is, absent context, nothing is too expensive or too inexpensive. I'll show you what I mean. This bottle of water, which I assume is refilled.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm going to try and sell you this for $3,000. Would you buy it?
No,
Why wouldn't you buy it?
because it was refilled.
Right.
I refilled
Thanks
it.
for giving me this tap water,
I refilled
bro.
it. No, it's good water. It's
Okay,
filtered.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
filtered.
Yeah.
By Brita.
Okay, let's change the context. You're stranded on the side of the road in Arizona. It's 105 degrees, and you're going to die soon. I cruise up. I'm like, yo, $3,000 bottle of water. Context matters.
Right.
Convenience matters. How big is the problem? How urgent is the solution desired? Those things matter. So to answer your question now, I don't usually get it's too expensive because of the way I structure the conversation. I don't want to sell you something if it's not going to help you. We don't even get to talk about money because I'm like, I just don't, in good conscience, I can't take your money. I'm not going to be able to solve your problem. You're not going to be happy and you're going to overpay me to do what it is. They're like, what do you mean overpay? It's going to be too expensive for you. Like, no, I'll tell you if it's too expensive. And then I tell them the price. They're like, yeah, it is. And we're fine. There's nothing for me to convince. The problem with almost every creative person, whether you do podcasting, to design or websites, is they just get right into the price. And it's like the other person doesn't even know what they're trying to solve. So if we got to it, I'm like, can you guys do 6? And you're like, no, I have 2.5. Then now I'm negotiating from 2.5 and the game is done. It's kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So I need to know, what the heck are you doing? So I got to slow the conversation down, revisit the past, the pain point in somebody who's not responsive.
Yep.
And you're moving fast and you want to make a connection with someone to say, do you see me? Because I'm going to have to work with you. I see you guys as fast moving people, as like somewhat reckless on this call. Like, we got to just get in there. We'll change the price.
30 days.
We don't know who we're competing against and we don't give an F what anybody thinks. So I got to just help you a little bit. Right. And then you're like, whoa. This person is providing a lens into the problem in which we don't have. Value add. This person's credible. This person has not tried to sell us a single thing. We didn't even get into like what I'm going to do. You're like, you got the job, dude. I'm like, I didn't even know it was going for the job yet. I was just asking questions. So the reason why people say it's too expensive is because that's a symptom of a faulty sales conversation. At this point, it's like, my girlfriend's pregnant. What do I do? It's like, it's kind of late, bro.
Right.
It's kind of late. Right. You have a couple options, but they're not good options. Do you know what I mean? So what we want to do is understand the client's problem and make sure. So when I do a sales framework and I teach people, like, there are about 5 things you need to know. What is the first thing you need to know? Well, what is your goal? The next thing I need to know, what is your reason why you want this goal? And if those two are not connected, I have to resolve that before we get into what kind of solution do you want? What kind of value is there to you? So I was thinking in the conversation, you need a new logo because you think this is going to improve sales. Okay, let's talk about it. Because usually sunglasses are purely aesthetic. There's not, I mean, besides the UV lenses and the coating that you have, if you make a quality product, most of it is just an aesthetic play. And I can understand why that would work. It's fashion, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're like, I need to add a fifth wheel to a car, I'm like, I'm not sure that's a great reason. And you're like, because I want it to go faster. Well, it turns out less friction equals faster. So you would want 3 wheels and not 4. More friction, slower, more power. So we need to resolve that. So many creatives are so quick to like try to get the deal, skip over this whole process. There's no rapport. I don't understand your goals. I don't understand the problems you've had with the other people you've worked with in the past. Very few people show up having never worked with anybody. And you need to know who they worked with before and why they're not working with them anymore.
Those pain points. And
you got to know.
Uh-huh.
So responsiveness is an important trait for you. Being able to move quickly, helping you to see past your blind spots. Those are important.
In Ron's book, he talked about that too, where he was saying how in his accounting firm, there was like this billionaire and he's like, I can't charge these guys $1,500 a pop to do their taxes. This guy's calling me every damn day.
Right.
I'm saving this guy hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I have to change the pricing of it. And it's so true because like we want you to respond all the time. And so you're thinking about that of like, these guys are going to kind of bug my team. You know, does that factor, that's got to factor into the price somehow because we're going to be busy responding to these emails and my project manager can't project manage our other stuff. It's very interesting. So going off the too expensive comment, I think another thing that creatives have a problem with is when they go to pitch something, right? They're pitching a price, and this might be for a client they don't want to really work with, but they need the money bad. They got rent to pay.
Yeah.
What do you say in those conversations, especially like a lot of our listeners might be younger, they might just be getting their first client. What is that conversation like when that client might not, that they don't want to really do it, but they need the money? In that situation, what do you feel like your advice is?
My advice is to ask the person, do you have integrity? What would they say if I asked them, do you have integrity? Would they say yes or no?
They'd say yes.
And then I would ask them, what does it mean to have integrity? Do you know?
I think to be honest with oneself.
Okay, that's the first part of it. I think it's to be consistent with your values. There's no integrity if you're like, I will never steal and there's money on the table and you steal. There's no integrity if you say like, I defend weak people, but there's somebody getting attacked, but you're afraid and you don't stand up. It's just all words until you actually do something about it. So to have integrity is to sell with integrity, to act and live with integrity. So if you don't like this client, you don't want to work with this client just because you need money, you're breaking your own rule right there. You're going to half-ass it. You're going to give them attitude and you're just taking it for the money. You've turned into what my friend calls an art prostitute. If that's how you see yourself, then take the money. But I say, you know what? I know someone's going to serve you better than me. And I just can't in good conscience take your money. And I'll do my best to find someone who I think is a better alignment for you. This is non-judging, non-violent language. It's not right. I'd rather starve. I would.
Word.
And then cut all your expenses. Everybody lives beyond their means. And I want to answer your question now. I was not trying to be flip. I thought you were going to press me and say, give me an answer, mother effer. Okay, but
we don't do that on the 5. Answer the questions at your own pace. Whatever you'd like.
So if your prospect says that's too expensive, here's what I would say. I'm sorry. I think I misjudged the problem we're trying to solve. I thought we were trying to solve a really big problem that had a impact on your business, your marketing, your feelings about your company, whatever. I think I misgauged that. That's usually when they're like, no. Hold on. It is actually really important. Well, it can't be because you only want to spend $200. And then I'd probably quote Jim Rohn, which is, you don't want to minor in the majors. You don't want to make a minor effort for a major goal. Do you believe in that? And they're like, no. I'm like, I'm just probably not the right person for you. And I don't feel offended by that.
You flip it on them.
Yeah,
always.
I love that.
You retreat
Always.
a little bit, they'll probably come back too.
Possibly, or you just save yourself a headache.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
So if you take 2 creatives who have the same level of work,
Yeah.
you oftentimes find in the marketplace that they're charging different prices.
Yep.
But the quality of work is the same. So how can someone raise their prices or charge more for their work without improving the actual quality of their work?
There's a mistake in the question
Okay.
that you think the price is relative to the quality. It's not. How many people have seen really large corporations charge 6-7 figures for a logo, and you're like, I could design a better logo in my sleep? They mistakenly believe that the buyer buys the end product, and they do not. They buy a certain level of assurance and trust, and they don't want to get fired. So when somebody has $100,000 for a logo, they can look at 5 firms that are at a certain level, and usually they hire the one that has the best, longest reputation, or they can look at a kid off Fiverr. They all could do the same work, but if you hire the kid off Fiverr and it doesn't work out, you're gonna get fired. If you hire the AAA company and it doesn't work out, you're like, well, who could have figured out? Of course, I mean, we all hired the best person. And this is how the industry works. We kind of make not the best decision, but the one that's the least risky. And this person over here represents the greatest amount of risk. And how do I know that? Because they don't even know how to put together a proposal. They don't send over a master service agreement. They don't have a team. They don't even have bank accounts set up properly. They don't have terms of payment. They're not on any vendor list. They're a nothing burger. And when you get on the phone, they're like chewing on gum and not taking notes. You're like, who hired John? You're getting fired. You're getting fired. You didn't do your due diligence. And you're thinking, I was trying to be a hero to the company by saving us $95,000 by hiring this kid for $5,000. First of all, you need to realize at certain levels of the game, it's not my money. I don't make $1 more for saving any money. Why would I want to save the company money? They don't want to save money. So I use all of the budget, if not more, to hire the best people because I want to go to sleep at night knowing I'm not going to get fired and this vendor is going to take care of the job. So you're buying all of that. And it changes over time what the assurances are. It used to be an office on a fancy street. It's changing. It's moving into social where this person has 800,000 followers. They've worked with X, Y, and Z. We don't care if they're in some podunk town. We just don't care because they bring social proof with them.
How do you think a creative can determine the value of their work? What are the key things that go into that?
A conversation with a client. It's not about you to determine your value. It's all in the market. You get invited to the dance, you play to the music that you're invited to, and if you can understand that pricing is not a fixed thing based on your value and your time, you'll have a much better chance of finding the real price. My general rule is if you get 3 yeses, it's time for you to raise your price because you're charging too little. 3 yeses without any resistance, you're just charging too little. So the game that I've always played from when I was 22 years old and entering the market is, I wonder how much I can charge. And I'm going to keep pushing that limit day by day, week by week, if have to a point in which I find what the theoretical ceiling is. And then I'll grind at it for a while and then I'll push past that ceiling and just keep doing it. I'll give you an example, okay? There was a long time, starting in the future, people are calling me up, hey, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. So I'm giving away advice, coaching for free. And then I asked my friend Carrie, it's like, I'm getting overwhelmed with answering all these questions because there is no gate here to stop them. My nature is to help people. And if I have no barrier, I'll say yes all the time. How much should I charge? So I was thinking like $150 an hour. And she goes, Chris, if you don't charge anything less, if you charge less than $500 an hour, I will not respect you. I'm like, damn, girl, I'm trying to help people. I'm fighting myself to negotiate a lower rate for myself. It's really weird. I'm like, I want to still help people. You don't understand. She goes, you do that, I will not respect you. So I put up a page. It's $500. People ask, hey, can I talk? Sorry, you're just going to have to book me through this. And then they look at the price like, yay! Nothing happens. But eventually people start paying and it just becomes just like before. Too many people are calling and booking me. I have no more free time. So then I changed the rate. $1,500 an hour. Same thing. No calls, some calls, too many calls. I'm like, I'm getting tired again. $5,000 an hour. For sure, no one will call me. I need my time back. And of course, no one calls me for a really long time. Then one person calls me, another person calls me. It's at the right price point to the cadence of how many calls I want to do. And when they call, they are so ready to talk. And that's the kind of person I want to work with. So soon it won't be 5,000, it'll be 10 grand. I don't make little increments, I make big jumps. And you may have heard me say this. The price I give you today will always be the best price because my value never goes down. It only goes up.
Hell yeah.
I love
That's
that.
it.
I love that.
Well, I don't want to get hit with a fat invoice if we go over this hour. You want to hit him with the last question.
Yeah, Chris, what is your advice?
It's getting hot in here, by the way.
I know. We had to
cooking.
turn that AC up.
Yeah.
What's your advice to your 18-year-old self? If you could go back and talk to Chris.
Easy.
Okay, go. Hit me.
Go make content right now.
Boom.
I'll tell you, there's a pastor I met. His name is Erwin McManus, and he runs the Mosaic mega church. And he's kind of an iconoclast. He doesn't fit in any single box because he's a pastor, he's super stylish, and he's a super passionate and powerful public speaker, of course. Many pastors are. And I'm hanging out with him, having dinner, and I just see him speak. And I hate speaking next to him because you feel like an idiot. He gets people to stand up without even trying, and they're applauding like, oh, fudge, I'm just chopped liver in this game. And I tell myself, how long has Erwin been doing this? Well, he's been preaching for 40 freaking years. I've been doing YouTube for 10 years. Public speaking maybe for 8. I need to put some miles on the odometer here before I can even say I can hold a candle to this gentleman. So I think to myself, I started making content when I was 42. What if I started when I was 32? That'd give me 18 years. I'm pretty powerful at 18 years. What if I started when I was 22? Now we're talking. Those are some good numbers now. So the thing I try to say to everybody is today will not be the perfect day. And if you wait for the perfect day, you'll wait until you're about to die on your deathbed to release that piece of content to share with the world what it is that you think. Start today. Start putting in the hours and don't give up. It will get dark. There are bad, dark days ahead of you. I promise you there are. But the people who are willing to push past that kind of grave of despair where everybody drops in the dip, you keep persevering, you'll see.
Chris Do, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it a ton, learned a ton, and I think the rocks are going to learn a ton from you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 114 of the 505 Pod. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We'll see you all next week. Peace.
Nice.